And
Ready? Well, today is your birthday, and tell us how old you are today.
In German or English?
Both.
All right, I am 86. In English, that's 86.
Today, April,
April 17th, 1925.
and today is April 17th,
17,
2011.
2011. Oh, that's a long time ago.
And we're interviewing my father-in-law. What is your full name?
Walter Julius John Meyer.
Why do you have two middle names?
The third one, John, is a confirmation name.
Oh.
And that was my grandfather's name, so I have adopted it. He was my pallbearer, our bearer, you know. And naturally, I took his name then.
Which
But
grandfather
I never use it, though,
on your mother or father's side?
on my mother's side.
Okay. What was her name? Your mother.
My mother was Julia Breyer before she was married,
Uh-huh.
and Julia Meyer after she was married.
She went from Breyer to Meyer.
Breyer to Meyer.
And your father's name was what?
His name was Julius John Meyer, but he never used Julius, he always used John.
Well, can you tell us where you were born? When you were born, where was it?
Where I was born?
Yeah.
I was born on Bremen Avenue in North St. Louis in April 17th of 1925.
And did you have any brothers or sisters then?
No, I was the firstborn.
And after you, how many?
After my brother Kenneth Harold was born, he was a year younger than I. He was born in 26. Then I had a sister, Mary Jane, that was born in 1928. And from there on, there's about six more children yet.
Well, tell us their names. You don't have to tell us when they were born, just what their names are.
Okay, let's see what I can get it straight.
There was you.
After Mary Jane was Brother Arnold. And after Arnold is Brother Raymond. Then my sister Shirley was born. And then, let's see, sister Dorothy. She was the baby.
What about the two boys?
Let's see, which one, I'm trying to fit them in there.
David?
And, David was after Dorothy, and John was the last one, the baby.
So when
He's 63 right now.
the baby of your family is 63.
63.
Well, what about the baby named Kenneth? Where was he in the lineup?
Kenneth was born after Mary Jane. Mary Jane was born in 1928. Kenneth was born in 1930, but he lived just 2 months.
What happened? What do you think happened?
Double pneumonia.
Wow.
It was pretty
Common.
prominent back in those days. In the early 30s, late 20s, there was a lot of people had pneumonia.
Well, tell us, of all the brothers and sisters, how many are still living?
We're all still living except one, Kenneth. Kenneth is dead, and well, the second boy, my brother Harold, he just passed away 2 years ago. He was 81 when he passed away.
Do you know what he died of?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what he died of, Harold? The cause of death?
Yeah, that all started with diabetes.
Oh, okay.
And then it kept getting worse and worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many brothers and sisters live in town here in St. Louis?
Mm.
Do you know?
In St. Louis, The only one are brother David and my sister Mary Jane, the only ones that live in St. Louis.
And the others are where?
Let's see. Trying to remember where the heck they live.
Well, a couple of them are in Illinois, right?
In Illinois. Yeah, Arnold is in Illinois, and Raymond is in Illinois, but he's in a nursing home. He had a stroke, and to this day he can't talk, or he can't move his right arm. That's been about 3 years ago.
And do you go and see him?
We go and see him probably about 3 or 4 times a year to visit over there, and he's real happy to see us.
That's good. Well, tell us, when you were growing up, I want you to think back to when you were growing up and the brothers and sisters were all born. Tell us about that. What kind of a house, or was it a house, apartment, or what did you live in?
It's a rental house.
It was a house.
It's a house. We all lived in there in 3 rooms.
How did that work out? Were all the boys in like a bedroom and the girls have a bedroom?
No.
No?
All the kids were in one room.
All the kids were in
Yeah.
one room?
We had some of it. There was 3 of us, 4 of us on one bed. It was very crowded.
It sounds like.
And we grew up during a depression. It was pretty hard to raise a family.
Well, what kind of work did your father do?
My father was a truck driver.
Oh, really?
Uh,
For who? What kind of company?
But he worked for, what the heck was it? I can't think of the name.
Something that made deliveries? Did he?
He worked for Schlegel Iron. He delivered iron parts like molds that they would, whatever they make out of it, and he would deliver it.
Now, where were your mom and dad born in this country?
No, my mother and dad were both born in, they were actually born in Hungary.
Oh,
My dad was born in October of 1900. My mother was born in 1905. My dad was born in the city of Rocks. My mother was born in the city of Eltendorf. But both of those cities, at the time they were born, was in Hungary. But that was all part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire at that time. Then after the First World War, they held a plebiscite in that area, and those Germans or Austrians decided to stay with Austria. So the League of Nations ceded to Austria that part of Hungary, and they changed the name to Burgenland. So
Which is the wine district.
that's the wine country now, yeah.
so when did they come? Were they married when they came?
No.
No?
We're not married, no.
Did they know each other before they came to the United States?
Not really.
No.
But where they moved to in North St. Louis, that whole area was a lot of the people that came over from Austria. It was like the Italians out on the hill, you know.
I see.
That North St. Louis was all, like, quite a few Austrians lived there.
I see. Well, did you have any other relatives then that lived around you besides your mother, father, and your brothers and sisters?
yeah.
Were there other relatives?
Oh, yeah. All on my mother's side, they all lived in North St. Louis. And on my dad's side, they also lived in North St. Louis.
And where did you go to school? I assume you did go to school.
Oh, yes, I went to Holy Trinity Catholic School.
Oh,
I went there, and I went 8 grades. And after that, I went to Central High School for about a year and a half. And the war broke out, and I decided to enlist in the Navy.
were you old enough to go in the Navy?
Oh yeah, I was 17. I had to have my mother sign.
Where
So
were the
I-
schools located?
I enlisted in Navy in
You may not hear it.
July of 42.
And you were 17 then?
I was 17.
He wanted to know, where were those schools, your grade school?
The grade school is still there up in North St. Louis on 14th and Mallinckrodt. And the church is still there, Holy Trinity Church is still there. But right now it's very poor because most of the people that had money had moved out years ago.
Did your brothers and sisters all go to Holy Trinity?
All went to Holy Trinity, yeah. A lot of the relation went to Holy Trinity.
And what about your brothers and sisters? Did they go to Central High School?
No, I think I was the only one that went to Central.
Oh,
The others didn't go to high school. They finished grade school and they quit.
really?
Uh-huh.
Well, you said you wanted to go. Well, first let me backtrack. When you were in school before you enlisted in the Navy, did you work part-time? Did you have any job that you did while you were in school?
Yeah, I worked part-time for a sheet metal maker. We farmed gutters and downspouts, and then we'd go and hang them.
Now this.
But I didn't work that long with him though. I worked for, well, I guess about 6 months.
Uh-huh. It was at a place where you could get to easily?
No, there was only 3 of us working there. The boss and myself, we would go out and hang the gutters and downspouts, and we had a man on the inside that formed it. And he soldered the joints together, and he was crippled.
Oh my.
He had a bad leg,
So you did that like when you were in high school.
yeah.
So then you decided the war was breaking out and you decided to enlist. Well, why did you decide on the Navy?
Well, I didn't want to get drafted. Drafted means go to the Army. Didn't want the Army. So I enlisted in the Navy.
You thought you had a better chance of just having it easier if you went in the Navy?
Well,
Or that just seemed like a better idea?
on board ship, yeah, I liked it better on board ship. Because that could be dangerous. Anything could be dangerous when you're in the service.
Well, so tell me, where were you first trained then? When you enlisted in the Navy?
Enlisted in the Navy, I went to Williamsburg, Virginia for what they call boot camp. And after that, I went to Davidsville, Rhode Island for additional training. And then we went from there to Port Hueneme, California for our finished training.
Well, it sounds like you did a lot of traveling just within the training. Had you ever traveled before?
No, never have.
So this training you did in the Navy was like your first actual
First,
traveling?
Away from home.
Was that kind of
Yeah.
hard for you?
No, not really.
You were ready to go out and see the world?
Yes,
And this was all by train, too, right?
after the training at Port Hueneme in California, the training was finished. So we were assigned to a unit and got on board ship and headed for the South Pacific.
What was the name of the ship? Do you remember?
HMS Torrance.
Torrance.
So it was a British
It was a Norwegian ship.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
The U.S. government hired a lot of ships.
Oh.
Yeah, they needed them, so they couldn't build them fast enough. So they hired that. So I was on that Norwegian ship.
Were you trained to do any specific job?
Yes, I was trained as a stevedore.
What does that mean?
It loads and unloads ships. I was running the winches. They had 2 different types of winches, steam winches and electric. What they do, We were down in the hold. They put the material on pallets and put slings around them. I'd bring them up like that, and then I'd drop this one down, and that one would swing out over the dock. When I got over the dock, I brought this one up and then dropped it on the truck.
So you did this with a series of like levers and,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I like the steam the best, because I can stop on a dime with that.
So where was the first place you went? Then after your training, where did you go first?
New Guinea.
New Guinea. Did you ever hear of New Guinea before? Were you even aware of it?
In the school, yeah, because I knew where New Guinea was, yeah. But New Guinea had two areas. Half of New Guinea was Dutch, and the other half was English or Australian.
So why did they send you to New Guinea? What was going on there?
We took a load of material down there, unloaded them in Port Moresby. That's a port in the English part of New Guinea. And then we loaded up other material, and we headed for Hollandia, New Guinea, which is the Dutch New Guinea. And we stayed there for about a week. A lot of ships were gathering. We were going to make the invasion of the Philippines. So we were all gathered together there, and one day we all left.
So it was kind of like a stepping stone? New Guinea was kind of like a stepping stone before you went to the Philippines, is that right?
We had to wait for the other ships to come.
I see.
And all you can see ships wherever you looked at.
What years were they, do you know?
1943, 44, 45.
So this, oh, okay. So it was after Pearl Harbor was bombed.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
See, I joined it 6 months after Pearl Harbor was bombed.
okay. Now, what about your other brothers that were close in age to you? Did they also join the service?
The one that was closest to me was Harold, was a year younger. He joined the Coast Guard. And the only other brothers that were in the service was Arnold. He got drafted, and he went to Korea.
Oh.
He was up there. And my brother John, he enlisted in the Air Force. He was a jet mechanic in the Air Force.
But that wasn't during World War II, was it?
No, that was after that, yeah.
Now, we know that there's a picture of you and two of your brothers when you were all in the service at one time. Where was that picture taken?
Well, I met my brother in San Francisco.
Can you imagine?
He was stationed there.
Which brother was that?
Harold.
Harold.
Yeah. We were the only two in the service at that time.
Okay.
And I knew what camp he was at, so I got a bus and went to his camp, and I talked to the officer of the day and told him where I was and who I wanted to see, and he got on the phone, and my brother came up and we visited, and his skipper said, "We'll give you a few days off you can spend with your brother in San Francisco."
Oh, wow.
So we did, because I was stationed right outside of San Francisco. He was also, but he was on the eastern side, where I was right below San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of the name of that town. San something or other, you know.
Right. So how long were you in the Navy altogether?
From July of 42 to December of 45.
Okay.
That's about 3.5 years. I
So
guess.
literally when the war was over.
Yeah.
So you came home, and what rank were you then when you came home?
I was what they call a BMG first class. That's bosun's mate, stevedore. And I took a test for chief petty officer and I passed it, but there were no billets open. So it just sat there for a while. In the meantime, I got discharged.
When you got discharged, did you go straight back to St. Louis, back home?
Out to the airport in St. Louis.
Was that
At
the first
Lambert's
time you were
Field,
on an
I-
airplane?
And I got discharged at Lambert's Field.
Excuse me just a minute.
Go right ahead. Was that the first time you were on an airplane? When you flew to St. Louis?
Yes.
So all your other travel,
Not really, no.
No.
I went on a few bombing runs in Borneo. I wasn't supposed to be on there.
uh-huh.
When they heard about it, they said, we can put you in jail. But we were stationed here at an airport in the Philippines.
Excuse me.
So but your travel earlier when you were in the States before you went overseas, was that all by rail?
All by rail,
Uh-huh.
yeah, all by rail.
So when you got out of the Navy and you came back to St. Louis and you went back home to live with your mom and dad?
Yes.
And then what did you do? Did you find a job right away?
No, not right away. No. My wife and I, we kind of got together and we just.
Well, what do you mean your wife and you weren't married when you went
No,
in the
we
Navy?
weren't married. We were gonna get married before I went in the service, and I said, no, we'll wait till afterwards.
Oh, so you had met
Oh,
her
yeah.
before you ever went in service?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so tell us about
We've been
this.
going together since 1941.
Well, tell us about this. How did you meet your wife?
I met her through her cousin.
Her cousin.
Uh-huh.
Which cousin? A male or a female cousin?
Anyway, we were her, I was dating her cousin.
Oh.
And we would
This
go roller skate at the old Crystal roller skating up on Cooks Avenue in North St. Louis. And then Betty would come along, and we just kind of liked each other and stayed together.
So actually you knew her and you were in touch with her and were pretty serious then, I guess.
Oh, yes.
The whole time you were in the Navy.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
So, how old, was she working or was she in school then or what?
And she was in school and working.
Oh, okay.
And she sent me a Dear John letter one time.
Really?
Boy, I got him. When I saw that, I wrote it up there. She said something about not being too close together at that time. I said, that's no time to tell me something like that. So I wrote her a Dear John back.
Oh,
But she wrote another letter, follow that one, apologized.
well, she must have been pretty young because she's, how much younger than you?
3 years.
So she was just a teenager.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I guess it was hard for her to.
Uh,
Did you write letters and tell her what was happening and what
yeah.
was?
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't tell her where I've been or anything about the war, you know. I wouldn't do that, but,
So tell us your wife's full name.
as far as I know it, Betty Jane Baumley,
Baumley was her maiden name.
the maiden name, yeah.
And how many brothers and sisters did she have?
She had 2 brothers. One of them died at birth.
Oh.
The one brother was a twin, Russell,
Oh.
and the other twin died at birth.
Oh.
And that was the only 2 boys. Then there was 3 girls. One girl, the oldest one, is still living in California, and she's 91 or 92 years old now. And Betty, my wife, is 83, it will be 83 next week. And her sister, which is the baby, is Jacqueline. I think she's about 76,
Okay.
and that's all the relation.
Okay. So when you came back from the Navy,
Uh-huh.
and you said you didn't work right away.
No, not
How
right
come?
away. Let's see, who the heck that was? I worked for Widener Electric. They were hiring at the time. I went out there and worked, and I stayed with them for about 28 years.
Wow. Okay.
And which location was that?
I'm sorry.
Where was that located?
Widener Electric was located in West County off of Plymouth Avenue.
Okay, near Wellston?
I don't think that, it was pretty close to Wellston, but I don't think the building itself, the property was in Wellston. It may have been in St. Louis, it was that close.
Did you have a car that you used to go back and forth to work?
No,
How did you get to work?
streetcar. I worked nights.
You did.
Uh-huh. And one time, way out there, and I lived up in North St. Louis, I decided I wanted to walk home. I walked home. It was quite a walk, and that I got off at midnight, and I walking through the colored neighborhoods.
What gave you that idea that you were going to walk home?
Just popped in my head, you know. I think I felt like walking, you know,
All by yourself?
all by myself.
How many miles
I
do you
come
think it
right
was?
straight down Page Avenue to 10th Street, and I went north on 10th Street to 2211 where we live.
Wow. So then when did you get married? How long was it after you got out of service that you got married then?
Well, I got discharged in December of 45, and I got married in March of 46, on March the 9th. So we didn't wait too long.
Right. Okay, and then, so where did you live when you got married?
We lived at her aunt's. We boarded there for about 6 months, I guess. And then we found an apartment in North St. Louis on 10th Street. We moved in there and we stayed there for about 4 or 5 years. Then we moved up in farther north on St. Louis on Floreston Avenue. And we stayed there for about 4 or 5 years. Then we bought a house in Pagedale, and we were there about 10 years, I guess. Then we bought the house out here in St. Charles.
Where you presently
where
are?
we presently live, yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about your children. How many children do you have?
2.
Two
A
children.
boy and a girl.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Carol's the firstborn, the daughter, and Kenneth is the secondborn. They were born a year apart. Mm-hmm.
And where did they go to school?
They went to Bethlehem Lutheran, and they went to Central High School. And Carol, after high school, she went to a business school for a couple of years. And then she got out of school.
Mm-hmm.
And Kenneth, he graduated from Normandy, and so did Carol. But then he went into the service.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when he went in the service, it was the Vietnam era, right?
Vietnam War, yeah.
But he didn't go in the Navy, did he?
No. He got drafted. He was he went to Missouri University, and somehow he got drafted. I don't know whether he missed a lot of school or his grades weren't good enough that they drafted him.
Now, I married Ken in 1971, and then we have 2 your grandchildren, Scott and April. And presently, April is married with 2 children. And then you also have a grandson from Carol, who is Stephen.
Stephen.
And Stephen
And
now is
Stephen
married.
Married, and he's going to have a child. Him and his wife will. They think it's a boy.
So you had 2 children, a boy and a girl. You have 3
Three
grandchildren.
grandchildren.
And presently you have 2 great-grandchildren and 1 on the way.
Well, right.
I see. Well, let's talk a little bit about when you were growing up. What do you remember doing, you and your brothers and I guess your sister Mary Jane? What did you do for fun? What kind of activities did you do for your pastime?
I was forever playing softball or baseball.
With who?
Anybody want to play. I played for the 5th District Youth Association. I played soccer for them. And I played softball. Then when working with Wagner Electric, I joined their softball team in the Industrial League. I had a real good year then. I batted .528. I had 8 home runs and 6 stolen bases.
Wow.
That was quite a year.
Well, who did they play against? Who did this Wagner Electric team play
Other
against?
electric companies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And where would you play? What kind of a field or place was it?
Sisler's Northside Park, we played there. We played at Sisler's South Park. We played in University City, the
Heman Park?
Heman Park. We played at Heman Park.
So did you have uniforms and everything?
Oh yes, the uniforms.
Did Betty come out and watch you play, or
No.
no?
She wouldn't. Then I had 3 trophies that year for batting average, for stolen bases, and we won the division.
Wow. What position did you play?
First base.
Wow.
So I brought those trophies home and set them on the mantle. And my son Kenneth, him and my sister, my daughter, were playing games. They were wrapping strings around her, and it fall down, and one of them busted.
Uh-oh. That don't sound good. Did your brothers play ball also?
My only brother that played ball was John didn't play. Raymond. He was pretty good. He went for a tryout at Sportsman's Park. The Cardinals were having special tryouts, and he put 3 home runs in the bleachers.
Wow.
And they wanted to sign him up and send him to Eau Claire, Wisconsin, on a team up there, but he didn't want to leave to St. Louis.
Oh.
So that's the only one. The 2 of us, the only one that were sports minded. And I was forever in, even basketball. I played basketball.
And you're not a tall person to play basketball.
No, but I was fast.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, I know your son played a lot of different sports growing up as well.
Yeah. And golf, he played a lot of golf.
And you
still plays a lot of golf.
Yeah, he still plays. And you played golf for a long time.
Golf, until my shoulder arthritis in my shoulder. I used to hit the ball around 250 yards. Then you got down less than 200, so that's time to quit.
Well, so you retired from where? Where were you working when you retired? Was it Automotive Brake?
Automotive Brake.
Is that where you retired from?
From there, yeah.
Where were they located?
On Locust Avenue, 23rd and Locust. I guess you call that Midtown St. Louis.
Did you have a car at that time?
Oh, yeah. The name of the place was Automotive Brake Service. They've been in business since 1927. The father started the business And then his son followed him, and then his two sons followed them, and they folded up in 1995. From 27 to 95, it had been in business. We formulated a lot of brakes. We didn't work on cars or trucks. Like Complete Auto Transit, we did all their brake work. We'd send a truck up, pick up the brake shoes, pick up the drums, bring them into the shop, and we turn the drums and reline the shoes to fit and grind them to fit. So you'd have stopping power immediately. You don't have to break it in. And I guess it was on that. On the Gateway Arch downtown, those creeper cranes that went up, we did the brakes on those. The leader of the crew down there was going to send them up to Cleveland to be relined, and one of the foremen says, "Why do you want to do that? You just send them right here in St. Louis." So he said, "If you got a place to, let me know about it." So he called me up. He says, "Wally, I got some brakes down there. Can you do them?" I said, "What are they off of?" He told me. I says, "Well, we've never done them, but I wouldn't say we couldn't do them." I said, "You bring them on up, and we'll pick them up." He said, "Well, how soon can you pick them up?" I said, "Well, right now it would be late this afternoon or tomorrow morning." He said, "I'll drop them by." So he dropped them by, and I looked at him. I said, "Yeah, we can handle this." So we made some brakes and glued them and riveted them on and sent them back down there the next day. And the owner of the guy that was running the whole show down there, can't think of his name. He called me up. He said, "I'm sending you guys a box of cigars. This is the fastest I've ever seen anything done." And he said they're working fine.
And this was for the arch.
Yeah, we did the North Lake twice and did the South Lake once.
Oh, that's
Yeah, for the arch.
And
interesting.
these were holding
That
Cranes?
creeper crane that
Okay.
went up, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting.
Have you seen the movie about building the arch?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
yeah,
Have you been in the arch? Have you been up in the arch?
several times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, several times. In fact, I got my name on it down there. Down in the museum, they got a big plaque up there with all the people that worked on it. Their names are on it. And everybody that worked at automotive brake on it is up there.
Oh.
On there too.
How about that?
Uh-huh.
Now let's talk about when you got, after you were married, did you do any traveling then?
No, we didn't. No, we didn't even go on vacations.
You didn't?
Cause we had the kids right away. Wait till they're growing up, then we'd take her on vacation somewhere, you know. And when we did, it was somewhere in Missouri where there'd be a lake.
Well,
or
let's
river.
talk about Missouri. You went somewhere in Missouri, didn't you? Didn't you go down to, was it, on the river? Did you have a relative that had that place on the river?
Not that I know
On the Black River? Did
of.
you go?
Oh, I know where. That was.
Boy Scouts.
It was on the Black River.
That's what I
There
thought.
was a campground there.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Mhm.
That's what it was called, Black River Lodge.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Black
Mhm.
River Lodge.
And did you go down
We went
there?
down there a couple of times. Yeah.
Okay. Was that a relative that owned it?
No,
Oh,
no. But it had well, later on, the owner of the place, he died and left it to his son. And my wife, Betty's cousin, Arliss, she used to go down the Black River quite a bit, almost like every year. Spent a week or two down there, and she finally married her son.
oh, okay.
So that would be the only connection.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh. Well, now, while Ken and Carol were growing up, were they in Scouts?
Yes.
And did you take part in that?
Ken was in the Scouts and I was in the Scouts.
Were you?
Yeah.
And what did you do with them? Did you go camping or what?
Oh yeah, we went camping every year. Yeah.
Did you like that?
Yes. Yeah.
Were any of your brothers and sisters doing that, involved in that?
No. They had a troop at Bethlehem School. They didn't have one, and some of the boys over there were belonging to Scouts at different areas, different churches or different schools. So I belonged to the church council. I said, why don't we start a Boy Scout club here? Which we did. We started, and the boys transferred, and we picked up, I guess we were, at one time we had about 27
Wow.
boys. So one thing, the reason why a lot of them joined, because we went on trips. Down in the Missouri somewhere, you know.
And you enjoyed doing that?
Oh yes. We went to the scout camp down on Highway 66.
Beaumont or?
The Beaumont. Yeah. It's been a week or two down there, you know. It was fun.
Well, what about your wife and your daughter? Was she in Scouts?
No.
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 Now, what kind of work did your wife do, Betty?
She worked for Scruggs, Vanderbilt and Barney. Let's see, she was in the department where the material, the clothes would come into her department, and they would price them and everything, and then send them down to the other department.
Was this downtown where she was?
It was downtown on 9th Street.
And so she worked even while the kids were growing up?
Yes.
So did she have someone watch the kids then when they were little?
Me. I worked nights.
Oh, I see.
At that time, you know.
So.
Second shift, which was from 4 to midnight. And then I'd work on the midnight shift from 12 to 7 in the morning. Work from 12 to 7, get paid for 8. That was all right.
So she worked, and then she'd come home, and then you would leave, almost.
Almost, yeah.
Something like that. And then when you came out to the county, how did you come by leaving the city and coming out to the county and getting your house on Inglehome? How did that happen?
Well, at that time, the housing out here in St. Charles was pretty reasonable. So we came out here and we saw this one house where we're living now. It was 3-bedroom and had 2-car garage. That's what, we had that built. But anyway, the price was $28,000. Trying to get something for $28,000 today. Anyway, we had some 2-car garage put in, and had the concrete patio put in. So the cost went up to about $32,000 altogether.
And you both had a car and you were both driving.
Both had a car, yeah.
Now, what about when you lived on Inglehome? Did you both have a car then?
Yes.
So what made you leave the city to come out to Inglehome in the county in Normandy?
The prices out there, the houses in the city or the county were much higher. And St. Charles County were really booming at that time. A lot of building going on, and the prices were very reasonable.
Well, your house, you have today is very nice. Have you been happy out there?
Oh, yes.
I think
very
you've
much.
lived there, what, since 75?
76, I think we
76.
moved in.
And,
We moved in, took out a 25-year loan on the house, and we paid it off in 15 years. We got double payments a lot of times, you know. There were a lot of things we didn't do because of that, but I'm glad we did it.
well, is there anything you remember about how, since you started off in the city, then you went out to the county, and now you're out in St. Charles, you've kind of lived in basically three different places. And is there anything you remember that you'd like to tell us about how the areas have changed? You know, just kind of in comparing the different places you've lived?
Yeah, it has changed, but I won't get into that because there's certain reasons why it's changed.
Mm-hmm. But you're happy that you live?
Oh, yeah, I'm happy with it out there. I like the people around us.
Oh, that's
I
good.
like the government to work with out there. They're very nice.
That's good.
Mhm.
And you go to church out in
Go to church.
there. What church do you go to now?
To Chapel of the Cross in St. Peter's.
Mm-hmm.
We've been with them for, well, ever since we left Bethlehem.
And you've been happy with
Went
that?
out there, yeah.
Now, when you moved out to St. Charles, you were retired, weren't you?
No, not yet.
Oh,
I worked for automotive
oh,
at that time.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see, I retired in what, 80,
Oh, okay.
86 or 87.
Oh, okay. I see. Is there anything you'd like to tell us then about while you were growing up, or just anything you remember about, growing up? What you enjoy doing besides playing ball?
Not really.
Well, we thank you for, letting us interview you today, and we hope you celebrate many more birthdays.
I hope so too.
Thank you very much,
And happy birthday.
and happy birthday. Thank you.